Most jiu-jitsu athletes struggle to perform consistently at their best on the competition mats. This could be due to anxiety or overthinking that they have on the competition day, or just general lack of confidence. I've worked with hundreds of BJJ athletes across the world and multiple time world champions. And today we are going to give you some solutions to your problems so you can compete with confidence and freedom every single time you step on the competition mats. This is all trainable. And like I said, I've worked with hundreds of jiu-jitsu athletes, and I've built a whole framework specifically around mental training for
Yeah.
BJJ competitors. And you can check it out all in the description. There's some, freebies in there, and also ways to work with me with very, very low cost. So you can check that out in the description. But let's get it rolling so we can add some value here. So let's go. So I asked Reddit, what is your number one problem when competing? And we got some answers. I was terrified. I've always considered Reddit as a place where you go to comment and get your feelings hurt.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I was like, okay, well, let's see what comes
Or
back. And
or
everyone
figure
was
out
nice.
or figure out what Craig Jones actually doing.
Yeah, yeah, literally. Yeah, that's it. Or the goss, or the real professor. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So first one is that I have trouble performing at the level I know I'm capable of. I row a lot better in the gym. When I get on the competition mats, it's like I forget how to do jiu-jitsu, lol. I also hate losing, especially those darn 16-year-old blue belts, and don't want to embarrass myself by losing in front of teammates and coaches. So, first of all, this is by far the number one struggle. You know, I've been working
Yeah.
with jiu-jitsu athletes for over 6 years now when it comes to mental performance, and this has become the biggest common denominator with jiu-jitsu competitors is
Yeah.
how do I bring the same level of performance I have in the training room onto the competition mats? By far.
Yeah.
Right? And some people can bring close to 100, some people bring 100, and but most people bring about 60, 70%. So they're roll like absolute savages in the gym and have really good results in the
Yeah.
gym, and then they struggle on the competition mats. Have you, Renee, felt, and you're a coach yourself as well, but have you felt this yourself or seen people, who struggle with this as well?
Yeah, I think people struggle with it a lot, and, I think people, like, really believe that, like I think, first of all, people struggle with it, and I think second of all, people really think it's like a one quick answer.
Mm.
Quick, boom, done. Like, "Oh, just don't think about it so much." Like, no, I think it's, like, the way to do it, it's a lot of training. It's like, I don't know, it's just like it's like the Tony Robbins thing, right? It's like 80% mentality, 20% mechanics. Like, it's like, but what does our training split look like? How much time are we actually putting in to, like, getting into that zone in your head, to, like, feel free, to feel focused, to feel clear, so I don't know, I just feel like, that's the thing that hangs people up at times. They're like, "Oh, I'm just overthinking it or something." It's like, no, like, it's just that, like, when you go compete, there's nerves, and we just have to learn how to, like, soothe those nerves, focus it, and be in that, like, free space of, like, train like, why is better performance during training? Because you're with your boys, you're talking shit, you're fucking having fun, you know what I mean? And, like, yesterday, like, I had one of the best sessions I've had in a long time, and I was just, like, playing around the whole time, like telling people they weren't gonna score on me. They were scoring on me. I was scoring on them. Like, and just really, like, I don't know. Like, I think a big thing that people do when they go to competitions is they have expectations, right? They have the expectations of what they want it to look like, and they just need to be, like, just open to, like, what is gonna happen. Because when you hold on so tight, you can't even you can't breathe, you know what I mean? And then from there you just uh I personally think that if you hit 70%, that's great, like, of your potential, I've definitely struggled with that. I'd say, like, on average, especially in my higher level matches, I've competed like 40, 50% of my potential, like, consistently, at the most important, most high level matches I've ever had, you know? So then like I feel like a couple of the matches, like let's say like 20, 30 matches I've had at black belt, maybe more. I'd say like only like five, maybe eight have I had where I'm like 70 plus or like even close to 100 even, you know?
Yeah, it's I like the word expectation, right? It's there's two types of expectation you could put on yourself. One that causes you a boatload of anxiety, and one that helps you focus, right?
Mhm.
So anxiety lives in situations that you cannot control, right? So if we
Right.
look at this question here, is that the stakes are so high for this guy, right? You know, he's asking, I don't want to embarrass myself by losing in front of teammates and coaches. It's like, well, your expectation is to win. So that is the expectation, which causes anxiety
Yeah.
because you cannot
Right.
control if you win. The other
Mhm.
person gets a say as well on the results of
Yeah.
the match.
Mhm. Yeah.
But if you shift that expectation into something that you can control, and this could be
Mhm.
your routines, this could be the amount of effort that you give, how hard you compete, the
Yeah.
things that you can control,
Yeah.
if you can shift that
Yeah.
from there to here, you can start to step on the mats with more freedom
Yeah.
and you can start to
Yeah.
bring that practice game to competition, kind of bridging that gap in
Yeah.
between those. So
Yeah.
it's huge.
Yeah. Definitely bridging the gap, like bridging the gap from like, okay, two sections, controllables, not controllables. Okay. You want to try to control not controllables? Good luck. You know what I mean? Like, where are you going to go? But controllables, two things that, like, you know, in wrestling, we say all the time: attitude and my effort. What else can I control? Right? Can I control that I'm going to have a I honestly think I'd like to hear what you think, but like I think like a lighthearted and like just maybe even like joy. Like I don't know. I feel like getting in the zone, getting locked in is good. Maybe I'm different than people, but I feel like just being like so chill. Like I don't know. I feel like for me, that's where I like compete. Very physical, very violent. You know what I mean? But still, just like it's all good. It's all good. Like, cause I'm gonna get up to like a state, you know what I mean? And then really just like, I don't know, 100% effort. It's a lot of effort, you know? If I could just feel like I gave my like 70%, I'm happy with that, you know?
Yeah, I that is actually one of the questions that was coming up, and it's around aggression, right? I get a lot of questions around, should I hate my opponent? Should I,
Yeah,
how do I become more aggressive? Maybe they're feeling
yeah,
a little bit too flat. And my thoughts on it is that it really depends. Everyone's experience when they go and compete is so unique,
yeah,
right? And that can change also from competition to competition. But generally, you have a set of emotions that you like to be
yeah,
at where you perform at your best. So that would be kind of
yeah.
what, if you like, tip number one is like reflect on your best performances, either that's in a training environment
Hmm.
or in a competition environment, and start to note down how did you feel? What were the emotions? What were the
Yeah,
negative emotions that you would think, hey, were you angry? Were you a little bit pissed off? Were you maybe a little bit nervous? Right, and how
yeah,
much you felt those things, and what were the positive emotions that you
yeah,
felt in that moment? Because that gives you a guideline of how you want to feel
for sure.
when when you step on those competition mats. So
Yeah,
if you don't understand and you don't have the awareness, that's the first place you need to start.
yeah,
And where I work with my clients, it's like we build this awareness, go, hey, what does it feel like and look like when you compete at your very best?
yeah.
Right.
And
And
like,
then if you do that,
yeah,
you can then
yeah,
start to make a game plan. How do
yeah.
I get to that emotion and
Right.
that energy with your
Yeah.
pre-competition routine or what it might be? But let me give an example here actually
Yeah.
quickly.
Perform.
Two different athletes. Let's go. My experience, I'd had a couple of conversations with Cody Steele, right?
Mm,
Cody Steele um, just loves to scrap, high energy to the point that he's almost upset that he can't punch a guy in a jiu-jitsu match. He
mm,
wants to turn it as close to a street fight as possible within the rules of jiu-jitsu. And
yeah,
probably why he's now signed to the UFC and actually does MMA, right?
yeah.
But his energy is super high, right? Not emotions. He fights out
Mhm,
of energy, not emotions, but his energy is
mhm,
very, very high.
mm,
Aggressive, but he's also comes across a little bit relaxed, right? So he has a very, very high energy when he goes, and that takes work to get there.
Of course,
Right? You
yeah.
don't just turn up and go like, "Hey, let's fucking go," right? You need a system to get yourself to that point, the high energy. And then we take a flip side. I feel like Mikey Musumeci, but he's way more lower in energy point of view, right? He
Yeah.
wants it to feel more like the opposite of a street fight. He wants to be a technical training type role, and that's where he
Yeah.
does his best work. And he can turn it up. Like he's great
Yeah.
also competing, multiple time world champion, but his energy is a little bit on the lower end, right? He
Yeah.
likes a bit more relaxed, and his vibe and way that he competes matches that. And that also takes work because when you're at a high
Mhm.
level competition, you feel all this energy and these nerves. So you need to learn how to either lower your energy and relax yourself so you're in the right zone so you can compete at your best. I call
Yeah.
this the Goldilocks zone.
Mhm.
Not too little, not too much, just perfect.
Yeah.
So finding your correct zone is so important if you want to have consistently good performances. Because if you could have a target, you can aim for that, get to your zone, and then the performance comes from there. But you need
Yeah.
to understand, are you more of a Cody Steele, Cade Rutolo, high energy Andrew Tackett type guy, or are you falling more into kind of their more relaxed, Mikey Musumeci,
Yeah.
type of fighters that are a bit more chill, and then there's everything in between. So you don't have to put yourself in one pigeonhole, but just understand how do you want to feel, energy or
Yeah.
emotion wise, as you step on the mats, and
Yeah.
then let's look to make a plan how you're
Mhm.
going to get there consistently every single time you compete. That's how you get
Yeah.
consistent performances.
Yeah. You know what? I like you're saying there is like consistency because like a lot, yeah, nowadays a lot of people have super fights and stuff like that, but most of the time people are just competing in tournaments, right? Um, so what I don't know, I just really like this thing that you said of like just understanding what your ideal is because I feel like a lot of people, like for example, I've been training like almost 20 years doing jujitsu, and I really feel like I haven't started like putting everything together until like a year ago, 2 years ago. But I feel like I have a good grip on this part. Like aggression and anger are like two different things, right? It's like I'm gonna think of like when I got beat up as a kid before I fight to like manifest that. It's like I'm just gonna get for me. I mean, the way I'm at processing my emotions right now, I'm just gonna get sad from that. That's not gonna help anything. You know what I mean? But like anything that makes you angry, like I don't like that. I don't want my students to compete like that because I think, and I've done it. Or actually, I can't say I've done it a lot, but like I've definitely been angry before, and it's just not putting my focus. It's not putting my flow where I've wanted it. And I really think that I don't know. I feel like that's like we're like dropping tools and stuff. I feel like a quick tip is like anger, not the place to compete from. Like aggression and being physical. Like I'm not saying no about that. Like I'm very aggressive. I'm very physical. But anger, I think it's like. Do you agree? It's like a waste of energy. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
right.
It's if I mentioned literally, I think a minute or two ago, I spoke about we want to compete out of energy, not emotion.
Hmm, hmm.
And
Right.
anger is an emotion, right?
Right.
And that
Uh-huh.
is exhausting. Like that's where you like
Exactly.
tense up, you
Exactly. Yeah.
forcing
Mhm.
things, and yeah, you could get some results with that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, but it is tiring and it's not maybe the most healthy way to go about it.
Yeah.
Whereas
Mhm.
aggression is energy,
Yeah.
right? And there are different ways that you can get to a high aggression without having to get emotional,
Yep. Hmm.
right? And this could be listening to high beat music, like getting, music that maybe gets, I like to watch, listen to UK drill music, for
Uh-huh.
example.
Yeah.
I know Owen Jones watches, who's that American football player? It's a boys' game tonight. It's a man's game tonight.
Ray Lewis? I don't
Ray,
know.
yes, he watches Ray
Yeah,
Lewis clips and Mike
yeah,
Tyson clips. And that doesn't make him angry. That makes him energized and aggressive.
Yeah.
So you can watch different clips, you can listen to music, you can do sprints. There's a bunch of ways you can increase your
Yeah.
energy. For me, I get people to, last competition, I got people to collar tie me hard. Like, let's do a hard hand fight, really heavy hand
Yeah.
fight. And that doesn't make me angry. That almost wakes me up. But everyone's
Yeah.
different, right? For some
Yeah.
people, they might get
Yeah.
pissed off. And then
I
that's not
think, yeah, I think it's like even in jiu-jitsu, I feel like people have a bad habit of like not warming up. I think in wrestling, bro, it's a non-negotiable. We warm up, bro, literally growing up for 45 minutes, like a 45-minute practice before one match.
yeah.
Like it's
I
not a joke. Like and it's so much I feel like to get you out of your emotions,
yes.
so much to get you out of this like state. So I think like that's another like tip for people. It's like, oh, you were worried about something or whatever. Like IBJJ, I don't care. Bro, literally put your headphones on and like do like yoga and movement and sprints for like 15, 20 minutes. Do your own visualizations in your stance or your guard pulling or whatever you want to do, and then like drill for like 5, 10 minutes, plan A, plan B, bottom, top, whatever, subs, and then also like go live with somebody for like 5 minutes and in a controlled way if you feel comfortable, right? But I feel like that's like I feel like I've definitely like not just because it's jujitsu and it doesn't seem that serious sometimes. I've definitely taken that for granted a couple times and I've been like, fuck, like, why didn't I warm up? You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like sometimes it's just in my innate confidence. I'm like, I'm gonna sub everybody.
Yeah.
Who cares? You know what I mean? And then like I go to fucking invert and my legs aren't warmed up enough. I'm like, dang it. Like
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I think you made a really good point about the letting that emotion out, right? I asked, I always thought like I was in both ways. I was actually wrong about this, first of
yeah,
all. So
yeah.
I always thought that, hey, you had to warm up. You had to warm up hard. And I wanted to take that from wrestling, to be honest.
Mhm,
That, hey, they do a
mhm,
hard warm up, they do multiple warm ups
mhm,
leading up to matches, and they kind of build up from there. But I asked a exercise physiologist, Andrew Usher, Dr.
mhm,
Andrew Usher, I should
mhm.
add, and he works with professional rugby teams, Premier League teams here in the UK, works with professional boxers, and I was like, what is the benefit for warming up? And he said, physiologically, no evidence,
Really?
no
Wow.
evidence. However, if it gives you a psychological edge, do it. And that's what you were kind of talking about as well. You're
Yeah.
like, it's an
Mhm.
emotional release, right?
Yeah.
Because it might still be a right thing to do for
Yeah.
it because, there's a lot of good benefits of exercising. The main thing is that once you've done your warm up, get some sugars in, get some honey, get some, glucose into your body. So because
Yeah.
you will be draining that out a little bit in your warm up.
Yeah.
But there is
How
a,
yeah, how can it not prime your body though?
yeah, they
It's
do with their
crazy.
professional boxers, they
Yeah.
literally do. They keep the changing room warm, the same temperature as the ring. So they
Mhm,
literally go with the infrared little scanner,
mhm.
test the ring because there's obviously lights. They
Yeah.
check that and then they go in the back. So in a jiu-jitsu competition, you're gonna have the same temperature anyway. So just put
Mhm,
something warm so your body's not cold. Then
mhm,
about 15, 20 minutes before, they do some mobility, they hit some
mhm.
pads, and
Yeah.
then they walk out, right?
Yeah.
It's also a lot of time
So
that you have
interesting.
to wait in the
Yeah.
bullpen
Mhm.
or you have to wait on mat side, nobody turns up. So now you're kind of losing that, you know,
Yeah.
warm up
Mhm.
anyway.
For sure, yeah.
But if it has, for me, psychological benefit, huge. A lot of my
Yeah.
athletes,
Mhm.
great psychological benefit of feeling ready, feeling like you had that
Yeah.
first match done in the back. And that's what you hear a lot with wrestling.
Yeah.
I hear you don't. And that's sometimes where you feel better after your first match.
Yeah.
You got your first match out the way, but we don't really want to be using the first match as our warm-up because then that
Yeah.
first match can turn into your last match. So
Yeah.
again, this just again begs the question, what is it that how you perform at your best? There's no right
Yeah.
or wrong. You could go. I've seen athletes who don't ever warm up. They walk around like
Yeah.
Joseph Chen. Like I saw him at the
Yeah.
trials, and he just walks around with a backpack on
Mhm,
and
mhm.
some woolly jumper, and then he takes
Yeah.
it off. But that's good for him but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that that's good for everyone,
Yeah.
right? So we want to make sure that whatever you do, uh, you know, purple belts are, getting excited here when I'm saying that, hey,
Yeah.
maybe there's no benefit to warming up, but there's also mobility is great, so you
Yeah.
can have
For
more
sure. For
range of
sure.
motion
So
and,
definitely don't hear that part. Don't warm up and then go get hurt. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. But,
But and especially like right, like I don't know. I guess maybe that's the lens, right? Every study's wrong in a way because it's only studying n equals right, like a certain set, right? Because it's like a lot of the people we're probably talking about. I mean, I forget how old you are, but I feel like old now. If I don't like my shoulder, like everything, if I don't prime before like
yeah,
going hard, like
yeah.
dude, I
But
am shot.
let me
So we're definitely
correct.
speaking to like an audience that like,
Let me
like you
let
know
me
what I mean?
correct.
Yeah,
Always warm up, but the
yeah.
intensity of your warm up depends
Okay,
on what you need, right?
right.
I would always recommend do mobility, move a little bit, get your body warm. But
Yeah,
some people like to do, some athletes, I get them to
yeah,
do a hard warm up, literally a 40-minute ramp warm up,
yeah.
which is kind of the gold standard. Um, 45 minutes before, no, sorry, 3 hours before, 2 hours before for 45 minutes. And that's a hard warm up. And then they'll rest for a couple of hours, eat, hydrate, and then they'll do a re-warm up, which is much more shorter, like 5, 10 minutes, couple
Yeah,
of sprints, and off they go. They're good to
yeah,
go.
mhm,
And some people, they just do that second part. But it's all
yeah,
depending on, hey, how do they feel mentally stepping onto the mats? That's
yeah,
the only criteria that we have. How does
yeah,
it benefit your individual performance? That's
yeah,
all we're interested in. At any given thing, when it comes to jiu-jitsu, if you're a competitor, does this translate for you to step on the competition mats? Does it help you perform better?
yeah, mhm,
Um, some people do jiu-jitsu for different reasons, right? But if we're
yeah,
talking about competition, here's well, in the scope of say warming up and what you eat, the question should be, hey, does this help me perform better? If
yeah,
it does, do it. If it doesn't, do less of it. Right?
yeah. Agreed.
Any other thoughts on that one?
No, I think we went to a couple good things and got a couple good nuggets.
I like it. We've got embarrassment. One thing I would like to add, the fear of embarrassing performance, the fear of disappointing my coaches and teammates is, a lot of athletes put the stakes way too high. And
Mhm,
this could come from your coaches. Sometimes coaches, not on purpose, but sometimes
mhm,
inadvertently, or this could come from parents, this could come from a partner that they go like,
yeah,
hey, maybe they have a reward system that, hey, if you win this competition, you'll get your blue belt or anything like that.
yeah,
That
mhm,
already puts the stakes high, right?
for sure.
But sometimes we completely imagine the stakes,
Yeah,
right? We go like, hey, you know, my coach is going to be upset with me if I don't win. And when you go and speak to your coach, they go, well, I just want you to have fun out there, right?
yeah,
He doesn't care. He cares that you're good. He doesn't care about the
yeah,
results. So that's
yeah,
something to consider. Nine
yeah,
out of 10 athletes that I coach, they like lower stakes. So we should be
yeah,
actively
mhm,
lowering the stakes because if the stakes are too high, we don't pull the trigger. We play not to
yeah,
lose rather than competing with freedom. And then I've had a handful of
yeah,
athletes that I've spoken to and coached, like so Owen Jones, Jasmine Rocha, these are the people that I've spoken to and coached that they love the pressure. The bigger the pressure, put the cameras on. They like to say things in press conferences to add pressure because that adds to
mm,
their performance.
yeah,
Again, that's a unique thing for each
yeah,
person. A
yeah,
lot of people like to take the pressure away so they can compete with freedom. So it feels more like
mhm,
a
yeah,
training role
yeah.
as much
I
as
think that like I had that recently before a big match, like on who's number one. And what really helped was like journaling it and then saying it out loud. And I journaled, I was like, if I lose this next match, like the people around me like won't love me. And like one of my best friends looked at me and he was like, when I said it to him, he's like, you want to say that again? Like, and I don't know, like maybe not everybody's that close with their coaches that they like love their coaches, but I'm sure there's like some sort of like deep connection there. And I don't know, like I would just like obviously competition matters. Obviously, like it's important to stretch, it's important to push yourself. But I think at like what cost, you know, I think it's really important to remember that like, dude, if you're gonna not like me because I lost, you suck. You know what I mean? Like if I called you after this next tournament I have, even it not being who's number one, it being like a finisher and I lost two of my matches and you're like, man, you fucking suck. I'd be like, you fucking suck. Like what? Like you know what I mean? What kind of support is that? So I'd say like be very aware of like how like I'm gonna hold people to a standard, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I'm gonna pick them up, I'm gonna love them, and I'm gonna like we're gonna continue on. You know what I mean? It's not losing is not the end. It's not the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Can I come in? What
Yeah,
if you
go for
hold
it.
people to a standard? What do you mean by that? What are the standards that you hold them to?
To just try their best. Really. Try their best and I don't know, like not give up. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying like to let your elbow explode or let your heel explode, but I'm saying like to like be like I've I've like made a lot of my career fighting out of like the worst positions with the best guys. You know what I mean? And I love that. I love being the like underdog and coming back and you know, so I think just like I love to see that energy. Somebody dominating them and then them being like, okay, focus. All right, I can do this. And then finding the zone to like go for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So again, a really good way of dividing this is that the expectation between things that you can and can't control, right?
Yeah.
Outcomes and process. So you hold a standard to your students and for yourself that you want to give all out effort,
Yeah.
right? You know, try your hardest, links to effort, right? So you're going to give
Right.
everything that you have, right, in that
Mhm.
match every
Yep.
single time. And not giving up. So you're going to compete to the very end. Again, not to the
Yeah.
point of that you're going to blow your elbow out, but
Yeah.
like that you're not going to just give up. If somebody gets ahead by 5 points or they're 10 points ahead, you still look to compete. You're not looking at the scoreboard. You're looking to just compete because that's the expectation, right? You know, scoreboard, it almost shouldn't really even matter at that point.
Right. Hmm.
So that's something that you can always control. That's in
Hmm.
your control. You're not expecting
Yeah.
yourself of them to win. You're expecting them to give everything that they have.
Yeah.
So again, a really great, well, great coaching from you for your
Mhm.
athlete is that your expectation, the things that you hold them accountable for, are the things that they could just switch on. It's like you can just give
Yeah.
way more effort. That's a thing that you can change very, very quickly in between matches.
Mhm.
Or even if somebody shouts more effort, you can turn that
Yeah.
up straight away.
But I know that this is already going to be another question, but let's talk about that really quick. Like, what is happening when I feel like I can't give more effort? Like you said, like the first question, right? Like, why am I training really well and then not competing as well? Like, what do you think? Like, it's like I'm like hitting the push to start button and my car's not starting. Like, what? Like, I'm coaching somebody to do that, and then they give me the same effort. Like, how can we help people, you know what I mean, do that better?
Okay, so the couple of things. Sometimes a giving effort can be difficult if you're not focusing on the effort.
Right.
So this is where you're focusing on things that are completely outside of your control. That's where we
Right.
clam up and tighten up, is because we're thinking about how big is the bracket, how good is the opponent, what if I lose, what if I disappoint people, blah 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 blah. Right.
Mhm.
So that at that point, you're not even thinking about effort. You're thinking about try not to lose or try not to
Yeah.
get embarrassed. So
Yeah.
first of all, we want to shift our focus on the things. So I focus on three things with my athletes, and every time I compete, the only
Yeah.
three things that I judge myself on in a match is my effort, my competitiveness, and my body language. And
Mhm.
I score those from 0 to 10. And my goal is to always score nines and tens. That's it.
Yeah.
And the
Mhm.
way that I get there is I do my pre-competition routine. So
Mhm.
this starts different people. It starts at different times. Again, depends. Every one of my clients' routines look different depending on how they want to feel when they compete. But for
Mhm.
me, it starts about an hour before. I do a light quick warm up with some mobility. I do a mental imagery track. I'll
Mm,
link up my free competitors toolkit where you can get that exact mental imagery track that I use. It's 8 minutes long that you can
mhm,
listen to kind of calm your mind, build your confidence, and visualize your next match. Great,
yeah.
great tool. All of my athletes use it. So that's another tool that you can start to bring. So have a set pre-competition routine
Mhm,
and then put all your focus into, the three controllables:
yeah.
effort, competitiveness, body language.
Yeah.
So that would be like the simplest way. And then if you want to take even further back, then I would recommend people practicing that. So if you have competition classes, practice those three controllables, right? Practice giving all that effort.
Mhm,
Practice the aggressiveness that you want to have in a competition, right? If your
yeah.
training is at like 40% and you're always playing in training, and then you get some, you know, Division One wrestler who's used to competing in practice day in,
Yeah.
day out, you're gonna get run over. You're
Yeah.
gonna get steamrolled. So you need to be ready and you need to learn how to compete in practice. So you compete in multiple times a week,
Yeah.
and then you can then start to transfer that. So I like to divide my training into technical training and competitive training. And
Mhm,
depending on
yeah.
what part of the season I'm in, you know, I might do more competitive training or I might do just technical training if I'm, say, in off season. And that's why I just focus on technical development. And then close to competition season, pre-season, I will then push for way more competitive roles. And I
Yeah.
don't really focus on technique. I just focus on competing and scoring high on the three controllables.
Yeah. Cool.
How about yourself? What do you do? I know you go to, JTs. You train also at your,
Yeah.
at 10th Planet
Mhm,
Bethlehem, right? So what does this
yeah.
kind of look like for you?
Yeah, I call it like plan A and plan B days. So my plan A days are like, no giving up anything, just being an absolute dog and just scrapping. Um, and then plan B days are like everything in between. So like I'd say like more technical on those days, but just like that scrapping is just not as much. Like on plan B days, I'm like, I want to see what's on the other side of the wall, like when the wall falls. You know what I mean? I want to see what happens. Like, okay, I'm gonna get my guard pass. Can I turtle and then end up on top? Oh, I can. Cool. I'm gonna take a shot and my opponent's going to attack my neck. Can I escape and end up on top? Oh, I didn't. Okay. Well, let's see what happens at the end of the scramble. Okay, I get mounted, but I can escape and I can attack a leg. Boom, beautiful. Or like whatever my flow is. Recently, it's been like a lot of wrestling stuff. So, um, I don't know, like just fighting from different positions to scramble and get on top. Like okay, I'm gonna start on bottom. I'm gonna give you like three things, and then maybe I can't just take all the way three things and then get on top. But like maybe I just take one thing. Okay, like I'm just hand fighting. So um, I even like sat my students down last night. I was just like telling them that in the class, like, hey guys, like when we do like the live situations, when we do like the eco stuff,
Hmm.
it's about moving your body, but it's about knowing your mind is the magnifying glass. Knowing your mind is the spotlight. That's to me where I feel like you go from like 1xing a rep, like just a rep, physical body, to like 7x with your intention behind it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like that's free to do, you know what I mean? But it's very hard to teach students at first, like, they're like, dude, I'm barely like holding on. I'm like, dude, but I'm telling you to just like last night, we're starting in mount. We did arm triangles and back takes, and we did some mount escapes. I'm like, just stay on top. And they're like, arm triangle, arm bar, back take. I'm like, I'm telling you to just stay on top. Like after that, you know what I mean? As your opponent starts to extend, that's gonna be the time for submission. So really like just trying to teach people about like intention um in technique and how that kind of really I feel like exponential growth if you start like journaling on stuff like what you're talking about and just I don't know, I don't think it's necessary for everybody to study outside of jiu-jitsu, but I think now it's just a freaking waste if you don't like at least study like 2 hours a week. Like recently, like I've been studying zero, and I used to study like I don't even know how many hours a week, a lot. And like, I don't know, I feel like I've been working on things. I feel like it's almost like I had so many backed up techniques in my brain that like they're all like finding where they fit now and where they flow now. So it's been cool to like, but I feel like I've definitely studied more than normal people. So I feel like normal people should just take a little bit of time to it just makes your mind work more than you think it would. Like, especially being more of a beginner and like not being able to picture that, like just studying, like, I don't know, I love Submeta with Lachlan Giles. Like, it's my favorite online resource. There's definitely like, dude, Gordon Ryan and all these people posting free stuff for sure. But Submeta is just like, it's the best platform, I think, for studying technique. Um, and I don't know, just how he puts it together. He like asks questions and quizzes you, and I really like how it's put together.
Can I ask you a question that I think will come up? I'd be gutted if we didn't expand on it. So, what does if we split into like technical and competitive, A and B, right? That you
Yeah,
mentioned. So let's go. What is how many training sessions, first of all, do you do a week training jiu-jitsu?
yeah.
Roughly?
Um, Overall,
Yeah, for the week.
probably one, two, probably anywhere from like 7 to like 12, 14, depending on like wrestling, judo, drilling, like that doesn't include privates.
Yeah.
That's like me training, you know?
Yeah, you training. Yeah, perfect. So, and what would you say your split is typically between? I know this will probably change throughout the
Mhm,
year, right? If you're getting ready for ADCC trials and if you're
mhm.
just kind of in your off season, like we kind of
Yeah,
alluded to earlier. But what's kind of your average split between how many of those sessions, percentage wise, do you focus
yeah,
on technical and how many do you focus on competing and not
yeah.
giving anything?
Never more than like 3 hard training sessions in a week, ever.
Because you
Like,
send
where
it
I'm like
hard, right?
hard,
It's
like,
yeah,
yeah,
all out.
like 8 level of effort, you know what I mean? Like, never more than 3. And then the rest are all just like maintenance. So like what I just said in terms of like a plan B day, or like, I just learned something, or we're learning something really cool in class. I want to focus on that. Like, lose a bunch of times practicing that thing so you can get better at it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, that's what I've done forever, and I don't know, I feel like sometimes people are like, but I don't have the best coaches or whatever, or not. I guess not best coaches, but like partners or whatever. And it's like, dude, it's all from you. It's all comes from you. You know what I mean? So like, I think if you work it enough in your mind, you're able to like handicap yourself in the way where like you're like, okay. Like, I tell people this all the time, and they're like, bro, what? Like, I always tell people, I'm like, if you sub somebody, like if I sub somebody like 3 times in the first 2 minutes or a minute or something, I'm like, if I don't work on stuff for the rest of this round, it's gonna be a waste. If I don't work on stuff I'm not good at, you know what I mean? So like, because what is it? Who am I feeding by just submitting this person continuously?
The
My
ego.
ego?
Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So like, it's just like, I think that's so huge for people to like really tap into, because it's not about beating people. It's about like learning how many moves you have. You know what I mean? Like, when I tell people, I'm like, well, I brought you to level 3, and then you followed me to level 12, and then I got you to 26, and you're like, wait, there's 26. I'm like, dude, there's levels. You know what I mean? There's levels to like where we're going and control. So I don't know, just being aware of that, I think is really really important.
Yeah, and I think a quick tip here would be, let's see what you think of this, is that,
Yeah.
when I speak with my clients and people who need advice on this, is that we have this split between technical and competitive training. Uh, with competitive training, I generally recommend, first of all, communication. So well, I don't think we communicate enough in the sport of jiu-jitsu when we go and train. So first, I would look for people who are same level, similar size, or bigger than you
Mhm.
within a safe region
Yeah.
that are able to take that competitive role, right? Don't
Yep.
go and, if you're a purple belt, don't go and smash some, white belt, because you're not going to get anything out of it.
Yeah.
So communicate with people who are similar level. Hey, I'm practicing on, competition intensity. Is that
Hmm.
good with you? And then you kind of have this agreement and then you just send it and scrap it out. With some people, you don't
Right.
have to communicate because you're such good pals and, you just know
Yeah.
you're just mates and you just scrap it out. I know those people from my training, but otherwise I'll communicate. Hey, are you ready to go? Are you warm? Let's scrap. And the time that you can work on this is during your rolling because you
Yeah.
can't control what you cover in class. So when I
Yeah.
talk about for general public, I've been talking about the rolling time and open mats that you've got.
Hmm.
Is the opportunity that you can split between technical and competitive. So simple rule, communicate for competitive rounds, focus on giving
Yeah.
that aggression
Hmm.
that you want to give in competition and go with people higher level than you that you have to compete and you need to try
Hmm.
and push them out that
Yeah.
comfort zone. For technical, I would recommend what you explained there was focus on having rounds that you can control. So this is where you
Right.
can go with people with low level, and maybe you are high level belt, right? So this
Hmm.
is where the competitive side can become a challenge, and you might need to go and
Yeah.
find trainings elsewhere for your competitive side. But for technical, you can then use those low level training partners or training partner that maybe are lighter that you can focus on time and time and time again. If you're working on your passing, maybe you pass the guard, and then you can let them re-guard and then you practice on passing again. So it essentially becomes almost like a positional round,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And if you do that a lot throughout, a training session, rounds of rolling on open mat, you gain a lot of reps in your
Yeah.
technical training, if you
For
like. So
sure.
that's just, general idea how you can split that together. Generally, I don't like to um, they're like oil and water, they're different
Hmm.
energies, right? So I would like to have one day for technical or one session for technical and one different session for competitive. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily
Hmm.
go competitive and then one round and then next round I go technical and then try and go
Yeah.
back to competitive because that can be quite difficult to manage.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
my 2 cents how you can manage that.
Yeah. I think it's good. Good advice.
Cool, perfect. All right. We had a question. I'm not sure how common this is, but I'm afraid of injuring my opponents. I understand it's a combat sport, but it's still a bit of a mental block.
Yeah.
Are you worried about injuring your opponents when you compete?
Um, of course. You know what I mean? Of course I'm worried about it. But I think there's two things about this. I think you're gonna learn the hard way that people aren't gonna give up until the last, you know what I mean, straw. So I think the 2 points here are to grab somebody like you're gonna break their shit off the first rip, like first grip, and I learned that from my teammate John Blank. Like he grabs your hand, you're like, this guy's gonna hurt me. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like, but like it's an intention. Like when I grab you with that intention, you feel like, oh shit, And then the second half of it is going back to like the technical training. Like, for example, if I'm just beating the shit out of white belt or a blue belt or whatever, like let me get you to all these end positions and let me just monitor every escape route and just if you have a submission and somebody can escape, it's not a submission. Do you know what I mean?
How would this marry up with competition though? How what's the fear around competition and hurting potentially your opponent? What's kind of thoughts on that?
I'm gonna break them personally, but I'm just saying that like you should practice in training by like controlling every route out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I I I think it was John Danaher that said it that the goal is always to break, the tap comes in between.
Hmm.
And it is the other person's, your opponent's
Yeah.
responsibility to tap. And this is something to get mentally used to. Maybe not necessarily
Mhm.
on lower level competitions. People
For
tend to
sure.
tap early, right? If you're a masters competitor, people just don't tend to stay there. But for people who look to compete competitively, I've been also in competitions where just shit just breaks. Like the ankles pop in, and then I still need to slam the heel hook on even harder. And it is
Yeah.
uncomfortable, but it's also understanding that responsibility is on them.
Yeah.
They have
Mhm.
made the choice
Yeah.
not to tap. They have
Yeah.
made the choice to essentially hurt themselves,
For
because
sure.
it's
For
different
sure.
if you're like freaking Palaharas who just
Yeah.
holds submissions
Absolutely.
after people tap. Then obviously you're just a scumbag. But if you are, yeah, if you are competing, there should be that aggression that you said, that intention,
Yeah.
that when you
Mhm.
grab and to put things on hard, and then people can verbally tap and tap quickly, and that's their responsibility. And if you are holding back, you are also potentially putting yourself in danger in other scenarios that may not be submissions,
Yeah.
right? So if you're holding
Mhm.
back and you're going, hey, I don't want to hurt this guy, but the other guy
Yeah.
comes, all guns blazing, now you're putting
Yeah.
yourself in a
No,
position.
and I'm preaching into it like I'm gonna go into it like with intentions to hurt somebody, but at the same time, I think it makes your jujitsu better knowing like how they can escape and how you can control them through the escape to not let them escape. You know what I mean? So I think like um that's been a really important part of my training where it's like I catch you in a sub and you know how to get out of it, but I know the three escape routes and I know three more subs, two more ways to lead you to a more dominant position. And it's like you're in my spider web. You know what I mean? So, like, I would really I would really tell people about that too, because it's like, is breaking so important? Absolutely. But it's like just control. Like it's such a feeling of like checkmate. You know what I mean? Like really, like I don't know. To me, that's what it feels like a lot of times. Like I get people like lock them in a hole and they can choke, and I'm like, don't even squeeze. Just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I get what you mean now, that it's the practice of the control, that if you can hold somebody with one hand on their heel without putting your hips in, right, then eventually the heel
or
will,
rotating it all, and then
yeah,
they start to split your legs, and you start to like just keep your legs the other way. Okay, they split your legs. Okay, now you turn it into a reap. Okay, as they split your legs, you cross it in a saddle, and you control the secondary leg. You isolate the secondary leg, control the primary, and they freaking out, and you're like, okay, like I'm just gonna keep this here, like just your control, because then you can turn that. The break is like it's like breaking a freaking marker. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal, but it's just the because I think what we're talking about is emotion in the technique, right? Because now I'm like, and like that's not good, right? So I think just like combating that in training and being like, okay, I'm not gonna tap these people, but I'm gonna control. I want you to quit because you know you can't get out. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that kind of stuff.
If
Yeah.
you have to rush the
Yeah.
submission, then your mechanics or your control isn't just
Yeah.
good enough.
Hmm.
Now you're slamming things on, and that's a
Yeah.
different thing as well. I do think you're a bit of a dick if you slam things on
For
competition.
sure.
I think if you're a professional level athlete, then there's that famous one with Gianni, right? Grippo. It's like he
Yeah. I never thought. Yeah.
rips it on, but
I
I'm
was the
I'm
ref for
cool.
that match.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
You're in a professional grappling match,
Yeah.
and that's it, right? So be it. But maybe obviously in a training room, absolutely not, and in different scenarios. But you can control that. You don't. But
For sure.
ultimately, if you give the opportunity for the person to tap, you should not be really worried about injuring the other person. It's part of the
Hmm.
thing. You signed the waiver. Everyone understands it's a combat sport.
Yeah. Hmm.
If you're going in there with the mindset of going like, hey, you're not a bad person if you're looking to break the person. That's part of the
Yeah.
thing. That's part of the thing that we're looking for in jiu-jitsu. But that doesn't make you a bad person per se, if you want to
Yeah.
think that. That's just the competitive
Yeah.
version of you. So
Yeah.
give them opportunity to tap,
Yeah.
especially if you're Masters 3 athlete, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, but I think the biggest like quick tagline for people is like practice grabbing people with intention, and that changes the way people respond to you. Absolutely. Like and leaning into that, not just being like, like I hate it when people grab me so hard. I'm like, it's just wasting energy. You know what I mean? But like every grip moving forward, like a python. You know what I mean? Like a snake, just like pulling you tighter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Next one. We've got somebody asking or saying that the number one problem is worrying about the outcome/result. Makes me feel a lot more nervous and less relaxed. I think we have spoken about this in length.
Yeah.
Again, you get way more anxious about things that you cannot control,
Yeah.
focus on things that you can. It feels like I'm a
Even you
broken
just saying
record.
it right now has been so huge. Like I'm like, fuck. damn it, I'm like thinking about stuff I can't control. And it's like something I'm working through, but like, when you keep talking, 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 and then it finally like clicks. I feel like it's clicking for me right now. Just being like, why can't I control these things? Because they're out of my control. You know what I mean? Um, like it's I don't know, controllables, attitude, effort, smiling. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just I don't know. It's really hitting me right now. Like just like the two circles and like what I mean. It's like I don't know. I just think that it's really that simple.
Yeah.
It's
It's
really that simple.
simple, but it's not easy,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Maybe
This
that's
is
maybe that's the part.
no, but yeah, it's simple. The concept is very simple,
Yeah.
but having the awareness to constantly adjust. This is almost like a life hack, right? If you can, in
Yeah.
general life, if you can focus more on things that you can control and let go of the things that you can't as quickly as possible, your quality of life goes up. Your
Yeah.
productivity goes up. You're not dwelling
Hmm.
on things that you have no control over. Certain things you
Yeah.
can control, certain things you can influence, and then certain
Right.
things are outside of your control. So we want to focus most of our time on the things that we can control, some of the time that we can influence, and then as least amount of possible on things that we cannot control. And the things that you cannot control in a competition setting is if they're going to change who's in your bracket, how many people in your bracket. You can't control if they change your match. They can't control if they you can't control if there's a warm-up area. You can't control the referee's decision. You can't control if you win. You can't control if you get submitted. All of these
Mm.
things are things that you cannot control. You can influence some of them, but certain things are completely outside of your control. But your job becomes, how do I prepare for those eventualities so I
Mhm.
can control certain situations within those. So if your match
Mhm.
gets delayed, well, how are you going to re-warm up? How are you going to respond to those situations?
Yeah.
Right? E plus R equals O. Event plus response equals outcome. You
Mhm.
cannot control the events, you cannot control the outcomes, but you can always control how you respond. You can respond negatively, and that's going to lead to a negative result. Or you can
Yeah.
respond positively, and that will hopefully lead to a more positive result. But E plus
Mhm.
R equals O. Event, you can't control. Outcome, you can't control. Your response is always, 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 always in your control. So a little bit expansion there on,
Yeah, for sure. Agreed.
on nerves and results. Anything that you want to share on that front, Renee?
No, I think that's good. I think that's
You
perfect.
That's enough for that. All right,
Mhm.
we've got another problem from friends from Reddit. I get tunnel vision. I can either hear my coach and not see what's in front of me, or I can only see one thing. Also, I suck at stand up, but that's less of a mental thing and more of a skill issue. Yeah, do more wrestling, man, or just get really freaking good at guard, I guess would be,
Mhm.
the thing. But, how about around tunnel vision and, you know, hearing your
I think
coach on how you.
yeah, tunnel vision is just physical response, right? Like it's like your body focusing in on something like it's like 10,000 years ago and you're just like I must kill this deer. You know what I mean? Like I think it's just about like getting out of that fight or flight, getting out of that um sympathetic and getting into your or whatever parasympathetic, like getting from fight or flight into flow. And I feel like tunnel vision is good to focus, but the best times I've competed, I've literally been able to like mentally put myself in like a white room and it's just me and my competitor. I don't even see the ref, I don't even see my coaches, and it's just freedom. Like I don't want to know crazy technical advice. Like and I'm saying that as a coach that gives crazy technical advice when I'm coaching. But it just needs to be like cues and be like, hey, he's like really heavy on that lead leg. Oh, he keeps passing to the side. Like it just needs to be like little blinkers, time, relax, breathe, slow down, things like that. Um, so I don't know. I feel like tunnel vision is it's and to me, like is it about mental? Absolutely. But to me, if I'm feeling like really tunnel vision, um, I just feel like I can't see oh snap, like I'm gonna go for a double leg or an Uchimata. but I didn't see this like sweep single to the back and then choke a guy out. Like, you know what I mean? I think I just like you need to be like ready to like move in the moment. You know what I mean? You need to be ready to like flow. So I think a tool I use there is like breath work and just being able to like just like that contraction, expansion. Oh, okay, let it go, let it go. You know what I mean? So like, and even dude, you could do that mid match. Like you go out of bounds, you just like two deep breaths. I don't know. I don't do gi, but again, oh shit, I gotta fix my belt. You know what I mean? Give myself a second. I feel like that's superpower. You know, like just learning the different counts of breath, learning the difference between inhale and exhale, using your nose, using your mouth, really breathing with your belly, you know, like that's stuff that like if you put in like 5 to 10 minutes a week, you can like you feel that tunnel vision, you feel that like fear, feel that like contraction, you're like, let it go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think breath work is just a huge tool. Like you're putting it bang on the money there, which
Mm,
is that fight or flight, and that really kickstarts that adrenaline
yeah.
dump, right? So where does adrenaline dump start from? It's all in the brain, right? Is that fight or flight? You just go, hey, there's something's at risk here, or panicking. So that's a mindset
Mhm.
issue, right? So again, maybe the stakes are too high or the stress is too high.
Yeah.
So a great way to do that is either you lower the stakes, like I said, hey, write things
Mhm.
down, face head on the thing that you're worried about, and
Yeah.
then maybe even ask us, hey, what would I say to a friend? If my teammate would be feeling this, what would I
Mhm.
say to combat this? And write
Yeah.
that down.
Mhm.
Breath work, great way to bring that, that energy down, that worrying down, focusing on your breath. That's the first step in the
Mhm.
mental imagery track that
Mhm.
we'll provide in the competitors toolkit below.
Yeah.
And we do 6, 2, 8 breaths. So inhale for 6, hold for
Yeah.
2 counts, and then exhale, for 8. So you're exhaling for a longer period than you're inhaling, kicks in that parasympathetic nervous system, helps you relax,
Yeah.
right? So, but again, that's useful if you're feeling super hyped and super worried. But again, if you're
Mhm.
not feeling so hyped or worried, then you don't necessarily have to do the breath work.
Yeah.
Again, that depends on individually and the scenario. Sometimes you might go to a competition, right, where you feel like super chill and you actually need to increase your energy. Maybe it's a local competition for you, Renee. You go,
Mhm.
hey, well, I don't necessarily need to do breath work. I just need to get my energy up and compete hard and not feel
Yeah.
lethargic. Whereas when you go to who's number one or you go to the trials, semifinals, or finals, now it might
Yeah.
be that, hey, you need to bring that down. So you need to
Yeah.
understand where your energy is at any given time and have the right tools to bring that down. But here in this scenario, we're obviously talking about bringing that energy down. So that tunnel vision, it opens up a little bit. You're
Mhm.
not in that fight or flight response.
Yeah.
Great tool. Another one is progressive muscle relaxation. You
Mhm.
can get free tracks of these on YouTube, PMR for short. And essentially, you just squeeze in, you talk about tension, you hold tension and you release. And you just listen. Tense your biceps,
Mhm.
as you inhale, and then as you exhale, you let it release. And do that
Mhm.
from head to toe, from your neck, your eyebrows, your forehead, your biceps, your hands, your quads, abs, everything.
Yeah.
And this is a proven tool in sports psychology, but obviously you probably want to do that, probably an hour before, right? Because you're going to have your
Yeah.
headphones or you're going to be laying down. So maybe before your warm up, doing that, releasing some of that tension and then getting into your warm up.
Yeah.
So another tool that you could add into your pre-competition routine. So here, if we talk about
Yeah.
competition specific, great tools to bring that energy down, remove that tunnel vision, help you avoid that adrenaline dump as well, because you're not ending in that fight or flight scenario. But breath work, great tool to use every single day. Absolutely. Great apps out there. Balance app, they offer a free year's subscription. So
Mhm.
that would be my recommendation. And you get some free stuff on YouTube and stuff. So
Yeah, for sure.
but yeah, great stuff there. But yeah, I know you're big on breath work and meditation. I do breath work myself every
Mhm.
morning,
Yeah.
5 to 10 minutes, belly breaths, like you said, just
Yep.
to
Mhm.
relax and, you know, bring that anxiety down that, day-to-day life might.
Yeah, sure.
Anything else on tunnel vision from you?
No, I think that's good. I think it's pretty simple.
All good. Quite a lot of questions here from our friends. So this is from
Yeah.
people from my email list, community,
Hmm.
people in your community. I think a lot of these we've already covered
Hmm.
as we've been riffing. But
Yeah.
let's
Yeah. Which
go
ones
with,
stick out then that we didn't cover?
yeah, one that sticks out. There's two actually. One is a question I like to ask you, but the first one here is how to deal with losses whilst you still have matches left to go.
Mm. Um, I just finished a really good book called The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle.
Mhm.
And I feel like the sooner like the so we're here now, right? And the future is anxiety and the past is depression or whatever. So I feel like the sooner you can like actively release the past, like you don't bring that into the future, right? So then we're in the now, we've released the past, but now you have that little like devil on your shoulder saying like, yeah, but you're just going to get submitted the same way before. And like so the releasing of the past is important, but then also like the releasing of like I don't know what the future is going to be like and just coming into the present. I don't know. I feel like that's I've done that like without the framework or philosophies. I've just done that just through competing a lot. And I think it's just so important to just like let go of like what you think it's going to look like or anything like that, because it's just going to be what it is, and actively though letting go of it, like I lost, made a mistake. Cool. I like John Joss said to me, like you either win or you learn. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
like when you win, you learn too. But like when you lose, it's not losing, it's learning, right? So as soon as you can reflect that and get somewhere, like there's 100%. As soon as you lose, pick up one thing from that, and you're gonna be like, wow, I'm growing into the next version of myself. And then the anxiety I think can be settled by like being like, wow, this is another I'm grateful for the next opportunity I get, and then let's see what happens.
yeah, yeah. I completely agree. It's the Iowa,
Mm.
wrestling
Mhm.
team. I think
Yeah,
it's the Dan Gable philosophy and
yeah,
commentary brands pushing that down obviously to the next generation is get the next best thing is their
yeah,
mentality. And that's a
mhm,
great slogan. I love
yeah,
that. Get the next best thing.
yeah,
And that's all well and good, right? That's a philosophy, but how do we put this into action? So if I give you here mental tools, you lost your match, right?
yeah,
You're going to be gutted.
mhm,
All right. You're not going to be happy that you lost. That's for sure. So
yeah,
first thing is that if you have a match coming up, we need to get the next best thing, right? So
yeah,
we have this
mhm,
quick bounce back, ability to bounce back as quickly as you possibly can.
yeah,
The first thing I would archive, right? I would archive it for now. I will come
yeah,
back to that later,
mhm,
and I would have a routine, but in between matches.
yeah,
This could be a 5 minute routine. This could be a 10, 15, 20, 30
yeah,
minutes, depending how long it is. For some people, we might have hours in between matches, and then you might redo your
yeah,
pre-competition routine. But the whole idea is we need to flush. We need to
mm,
flush the performance.
yeah,
But before you can fully flush the performance, you have to learn from it. Exactly what you
right,
said. So here we would archive because there's not much law learning that you can do in 5 minutes. You just have to,
yeah,
hey, switch on to the next one,
mhm,
go into your routines, and go back into giving all out effort.
yeah,
Again, don't focus on the outcome, focus on the process.
yeah. I think pulling, like exactly what you're saying, pulling it from like just you give yourself a chance when you're like if you like just like I lost, I'm such shit, like dude, you lost, but like let's transform that right now. You know what I mean? From that, like, I don't know, because it's just so easy to like negative thought spiral. You know what I mean? I think just like being like, wow, like what if the guy I'm gonna fight next does the same exact thing? Can I shift, and like whoa, like that gets you excited, you know what I mean? To like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna work. Let's see.
Yeah, it's there's a great thing that baseball is one of the biggest sports where they focus on the mental side.
Yeah.
And, every single baseball team has a sports psychologist on staff. A
Mm.
lot of baseball players work with sports psychologists or mental
Yeah.
performance coaches, even outside of that.
Mhm.
But a lot of teams, there's a couple of teams that they have like this um, toy toilet, right, in their
Yeah.
dugout. So when they come in, it doesn't matter if they had a good inning or if they had a bad, or good at bat or bad at bat, right?
Yeah.
And when they come into the bullpen, the bench, if you
Yeah.
like, they will always flush the toy toilet to let it go, good or bad,
Mm.
because that's gone. You said, hey, that's
Yeah.
that's history,
Yeah.
right? So now it's time to focus. Either had a great performance or a terrible performance. Every performance is good and bad, not good or
Yeah.
bad, right? So that's one thing that you need to consider. But
Mhm.
you need to flush as quickly as you can and get to your process to
Yeah.
get ready for the next match. That's your only job. And then go and execute your controllables, give everything that you have, high controllables, execute those, flush that next match, whatever it might be, until you're
Yeah.
done for the day. And when you're
Mhm.
done for the day, that's when you can do the learning. That's when
Yeah.
you take pen. Simple steps. What did you do well? Write three things or all the things that you can think of that you did well in that competition.
Mhm.
Write one thing that you can do better, one thing that needs work, and then make a plan how you're going to do that.
Yeah.
And then score your controllables that we spoke about, your
Mhm.
effort, your competitiveness, and your body language from 1 to 10.
Mhm.
Once you've done that, now you can go and flush, right? And there's a
Mhm.
couple of ways you can do this. You can go and just visualize yourself flushing the performance, letting it go, or you can go to the toilet and flush the toilet, or
Mhm.
you can write something on a toilet tissue, maybe the competition, put
Mhm.
it in there, and then flush that down. And those are
Yeah.
all actual physical triggers for you
Mhm.
to let go of that performance. And then the last step, final step, is to ask yourself, what's important
Or
now?
now. Yeah.
And then
I love
take
that
that
one.
action. And it's never to keep shitting on yourself for
Yeah.
how you performed.
Yeah.
That could be to go and have
Mhm.
beers with your mates. That could be
Yeah.
go and support your teammates. Right? You've
Yeah.
learned from it. You've done the learning. You know, let it go.
Yeah.
Let that shit go and take the action to get better. And I have a
Mhm.
great example of this. I had a client, still work with this guy, Saul. We've been working together for like, I don't know, like 5 years, four
Mhm.
years, lot of years now. And he went to Fight to Win, got into his position 50-50 and got countered
Mhm.
by JC
No.
Cavalcante, who actually ended up being one of my clients as well years later.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
Done that shit to somebody on Who's Number One again.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Um, but because we talked about this flushing, by the
Right.
time I woke up, like, 4 hours later, I already had his World Better How in my WhatsApp.
Mhm. Yeah.
And the Monday, he trained on the Sunday, competed on the Sunday, and then
Yeah.
Monday, he flew across the country and he was working on his 50-50 position. That was his
Yeah.
how. And for the whole week, he worked on that.
Yeah.
Boom,
Mhm.
mindset shift. Didn't,
Yeah.
complain and moan and,
Mhm.
dwell
Yeah.
on the mistake. He just got to work. But it's
Yeah.
because he had a process to flush it and actually learn from it and then take the action to make
Yeah.
himself better, which kind of encapsulates what you were talking about.
Yeah, and I think, like, it's just such an you have to remember the word opportunity. It's such an opportunity for you to get better, or it's an opportunity for you to fucking sulk and be sad. Sulk and be sad. All good. It's still energy, and where do you wanna focus the energy?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I confront that a lot, like, so many like, I was talking to my girlfriend the other day, and I was like, "I'm really good at losing." Like, I lose and I'm like, I'm gonna be pissed for sure for like at least 5, 10 minutes. But immediately I'm like, I flush everything out of my brain. So funny you say flush. I like just drop, brain dump everything. And I'm like, all right, what can I just like focus on right now to get better? Like, and I like the numbers that you gave, like 3 good things and only 1 bad thing. I'm usually like 75 bad things, 1 good thing. So I like that. But then just like really just being able to like open to like I can get better right now if I really want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think you know me in this way. It's like I love to enjoy my life, and I'm gonna enjoy my life. Like you're gonna sit here and just be sad, like we're in fucking California on who's number one. Like, am I gonna cry about it, or are we gonna go to this like top 10 French bakery and enjoy some baked goods? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
damn
Like,
right. The
and
attitude you take is a decision you make.
100%. And it's like, dude, the people around you and stuff like that. Like, if those people are looking at you like shit, same shit we said before, check your circle. You know what I mean? Because like those should not be the people you have around you if they can't support you when you lose, you know? And yeah, sometimes it's like like they say something and you like take it really personal. Don't take it personal. Don't make assumptions. You know what I mean? Just like let it go. Like just that's I think that's what makes us malleable to like get to the next level. So shout out to Saul, and I do that a lot too, and I've lost a lot these last couple of years, and every single loss, I feel like it's been like lose, grow, lose, like exponentially, because I'm just like immediately after I lose, what are the things I need to work on, and just transforming that energy that I have into like a true medium, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the 5-10 minute rule. I've used that before in general
Mhm,
life. If I'm, I've got this rule with myself. My partner has it. We have this rule for our clients. It's
mhm,
no BCD, no BCD, no blaming, no complaining, no
mhm.
getting defensive,
Yeah, yeah,
ever. And if I do that, if I get to that BCD mode, I give myself 5 minutes and I put a freaking timer on. I'll go
mm,
5 minutes. I can piss and moan about this. And then we need to serve a solution because nobody
agreed.
wants to be around a fucking moaner. I
No,
was,
that's not.
hey, what, this and that, and oh, poor me, poor me. No, fuck all that. You need to, things get tough. We get kicked in the teeth by life time and time and time again. But you need to sometimes serve a solution. So if you imagine
Yeah,
this as a tennis match, you're
yeah,
watching tennis and they serve the ball in tennis, right?
mhm.
Imagine watching a tennis match and they're just bouncing the ball. They bounce, 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 bounce. If that would be the sport, it would be the most boring sport in the world. Nobody would watch. At
Yeah,
some point, you need to serve the fucking ball. I need to serve a solution,
mm,
right?
yeah,
So
mhm.
we cannot be complaining. And me and my, again, bring my partner into this. When we sometimes we get to complaining, it's just a natural thing. And I try and do this
Yeah,
with my
for sure.
friends. I ask them, it's like, do you want me to listen or do you want me to help her find a solution?
Dude, I'm the same way. I'm like, "Do you want us to do something about this, or do you want me to just" yeah,
And sometimes it's okay, as long as
yeah,
it's not
for
hours and
sure,
hours on
for
hours. And
sure.
then I
Yeah,
might go like, hey, maybe we'll put a timer on and then we'll give it
yeah,
10 minutes. You feel your feelings, which is important.
mhm,
We're not saying here that just be a robot and don't have emotions. Feel
yeah,
that shit. Be upset. Feel free to cry. Feel
yeah,
to be emotional, but then turn that into something positive. That's what we're
yeah,
saying here, right?
mhm,
It's
for
okay to
sure.
be upset that you lost. You've spent a whole camp, you spend money,
Mhm,
you spend, time and effort, early mornings, time away from your family,
yeah,
right? You are allowed to be upset when you don't get the result that you want,
yeah,
but you're not allowed to keep complaining about it and carrying that with you like a bag of bricks
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah,
You need to find a way to find a solution. And that's why that World Better How is helpful because you can find solutions, you
mhm,
can objectively reflect on the performance, but maybe before that, before you're ready to do that, you give yourself 5-10 minutes just to feel, be upset, be by
yeah,
yourself, go, hey, just leave me by myself for here. And I've done
yeah,
that before. I just go,
yeah,
hey, give me a
mhm,
moment. I'll go here. And then once that goes, I'll take a breath. Then I go and enjoy my time. And then
yeah,
maybe after the tournament is done, I'll go and, I'll do my World Better How and
yeah,
let it go. Maybe watch the footage back and, do more
mhm,
in-depth thing. And then I'll move on.
yeah,
But there's a
yeah,
couple of tools that you can kind of bounce back from those.
mhm, word, agreed.
All right. I'm going to give you one last question here. This is a question from me. I want to hear from
Mm,
you, Renee.
fire, let's do it.
What do you know now that you wish you knew when you got started with competing in jiu-jitsu?
Um, what do I know now? I don't know. It goes back to something we've talked about the whole time, but it just doesn't really matter.
I was thinking the same thing. I
No
was
way, really.
thinking the same thing. I was like, what would
It just
I answer? It's like,
yeah,
nobody gives a fuck.
doesn't really matter. And like even like just saying that, like sulking and stuff, like I mean, like, dude, there's people out here like don't have running water. There's people out here that don't have a house. You know what I mean? There's people out here that like are trying to get a job, can't get a job. And I'm complaining that I lost a match in my hobby that I get to do. You know what I mean? Like,
We
I
choose
don't
to
know. I
go
just feel
to,
like,
we pay money. Most of us pay money to go there and
yeah,
we choose to be there, right?
just gratitude, like a gratitude and understanding that it's just if it's not about fun, then dude, it's I want to win for sure. But if you're not having fun the whole time, it's about your ego, you know what I mean? And you need to like let it go and just like want to like just serve, I don't know, just people. Like I want to compete to like show people that they can believe in themselves and they can do it. Like I don't really care about me getting my hand raised. I'm almost like, don't even raise my hand. I don't really even care that much. I just care to like show my technique works. That's all I care about, you know?
And you see this a lot with athletes is that when we again I'm like the controllable salesman over
Yeah.
here, but there's been matches that I've had, you've had, my clients have had, every person I've spoken to, and I almost bring this up with every client
Mhm.
is that yeah, there's matches that you've lost, but you gave all out effort and competed as hard as
Mhm.
you can, and you were okay with the results. And
Yeah.
then there's been matches where you've not given full effort, but you
Yeah.
won. And you're
Right.
like, ah. And then
Yeah.
there's obviously those ideal matches where you give all out effort, it's a war. You just have to
Yeah.
push and then you maybe edge the result. And that's obviously the
Mhm.
best, like
Yeah.
of those that triangle that where you want to
Mhm.
get to. But
Yeah.
that you can't control the results. So the thing is, hey, you can choose either give all out effort and feel pretty good about your performance, regardless of the
Mhm.
result, or you can choose to hold back,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's
Live.
that's
Yeah.
what it comes
Yeah.
down to, right?
Live,
And
live, live in the freedom of it. Live in the freedom of not expecting and just seeing what happens. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that's when the biggest miracles happen in your life. And the more you open, the more you like every contraction is a call to expansion. I feel like, and every time you like, it's just like nope, let it go, and just like centering and clearing. And I like the flushing analogy we talked about. And
yeah,
I don't know. I just think it's like, dude, it's so cool to do what we do. And it's just if you allow it to be, it can be really like one of the most transformative things in the world. Like as I go into like business and all these other things now, like dude, jujitsu has set my mind up and how I talk to people and how I do things. Like maybe I'm the sole social butterfly in jujitsu. A lot of people are like antisocial, but it's like, you know what I mean? It's like there's so many things to learn there. Even if you're not ever doing jujitsu to like compete to be professional competitor, it's like it can teach you how you deal in stressful situations, you know?
yeah,
And I just think that it's just a perfect play. Like who nobody cares about it. Practice there. So then in your relationships, in your business, like it's going to be the same roadmap, especially with the emotional navigation.
yeah.
You know what I
Mental
mean?
performance is mental performance. That that's it. And
Yep.
I love what you said about perspective, right?
Mhm.
Gratitude's the attitude. But that's another
Mhm.
thing that you can control, right?
Yep.
Not necessarily directly take that into your matches, but
Yep.
as day-to-day life leading up to your matches, your competitions,
Mhm.
after competitions, you can control your perspective,
Yeah.
right? And
100%.
that's a great tool to have in your toolbox.
Yeah.
We want to care, but we don't want to care too much, right?
Yeah.
We want to win, but we don't have to win.
Mhm.
Have to win, must win, do or die causes this tension. And I
Yeah.
want to win is this freedom, right? Hey, I
Yeah.
want to win, but I don't have to win, right? Nobody keeps account of your record. I have clients, it will be difficult. You're my client. I wouldn't be able to say your last five matches you
Yeah.
competed in.
Mhm.
Like it's
Yeah.
like, like people, we just think that people care way more than they actually do. So bring it back home into that hey, nobody really cares. People care way more about themselves, first of all. And
Mhm.
secondly, they just care about your well-being.
That's it. That's it.
And
People don't care if you win. People care if you're like how you're doing, and you know what I mean. Like, dude, when you step off the mat and you're healthy, bro, bless, God
yeah,
bless. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because a lot of people are not. You
yeah.
know.
One last story here. Talk about how little people around
Mhm.
you care. is I had a client, Kevin, and he went to Master Worlds, and I think he got his first podium
Mhm.
finish. I think he was a brown belt at the time, got third place. So happy, all this preparation, camp, get in there, getting a thing. His whole family was there, his two daughters, wife, everything. What a great moment. So happy. Family was so happy. He steps off the podium
No, stop. Don't say it. I don't wanna
and,
hear it.
and steps off the podium, and wife goes, "That's all well and good, Kevin, but the kids are hungry. We need to go and get some food." And that's it. There it goes, right? It's just
Mhm.
that thing like, hey, there's so many bigger things in life,
Yeah,
and we put this thing on a pedestal. Right? I
yeah.
was like, we laughed about that, and we were like, oh, how whoa,
I
quick
thought you were gonna
way.
say the way you worked up to it, I thought he was gonna, like, 1, hit his goal, steps off the podium, tears his
Oh
ACLs.
no, no, no. Yeah, I thought that was what you might think, but no, but that's how quick like
Yeah,
people like these are people who love him so much and they realize
yeah,
actually he's healthy, he's ready to go.
yeah,
You got your medal, perfect,
yeah,
but we have our kids, we need to go and get some food. And I thought that was
yeah.
a funny little
No,
little
it's so
story
cool.
that hey, people just care
Perspective,
about
you know?
you,
Yeah,
yeah, you, your well-being, everything else. And if they don't, then maybe you need to re jig your inner circle, because if the
yeah,
people care more about the
mhm,
results than your well-being, and
yeah,
maybe that's on them more than
yeah,
that's on you, and
100%,
all of
100%.
that stuff. So, but to wrap this up, if you want more of this stuff for free, I did a workshop. It's called
Mhm,
Bridge the Gap Workshop, where I talk my whole framework, my whole mental performance system that I teach to, Jasmine Rocha, Wagner Rocha, Kendo Rusing, Renee Souza, all the high
mhm,
level athletes. So if you want to have a look at that, that will pop up one of these corners over here, and you can watch that for free. So if you want to continue your journey through the YouTube rabbit hole, check those out, and you'll learn, how to bridge your performance from the training room into the competition mat. So just click one of those videos there and you'll get that.